For the night is dark and full of terrors.
Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this week I thought it'd be really fun to talk about all the classes of magic on a Game of Thrones. The show hasn't really gone into deeply to explain a lot of them, but I thought it'd be really fun to explore. Even though the show hasn't really explained them a lot, we've seen everything from the Red God, to the Drowned God, to the Seven, to the Great Other. Magic is might. Careful for spoilers. One of the really cool things about the gods on Game of Thrones is that no matter how obscure they are, they do bestow some sort of power. One of the really good examples of this is when Melisandre gives birth to the smoke baby with Sir Davos underneath Storm's End. So it's explained during Season 2 when Melisandre wants to unleash this smoke baby on Renly. She has to pass inside the walls of Storm's End. Obviously, she goes underneath with Sir Davos, but because the Seven protect Renly and his camp while he's within the walls of Storm's End, her magic can't affect him. Not only is this big because of the big WTF smoke baby moment, it's also a good example that the Seven actually do have a real power that stop her god from exerting his own influence. One of the really common things about the gods on Game of Thrones is that it's not really clear if their power is totally dependent upon faith or prayer. I like to think of that as Neil Gaiman, American Gods logic. And what that means is that in his novel, American Gods, all of the deities have a direct relationship between their power and the prayer they receive from followers or even random people. I'll actually be talking about that series more in other videos later this year, just because HBO is actually turning it into the next A Song of Ice and Fire. But now let's talk about each of the major deities on A Game of Thrones, starting with the Old Gods. Because there might be some spoilers for Bran during the Old Gods talk because they exist in this relationship with the Three-Eyed Crow and Greenseers, I'll include a spoiler warning, and then at the end of it, I'll include an unmute on the screen so you can unmute the screen in case you don't want to hear that part. So get ready for Old Gods and spoilers now. So the Old Gods are actually like gods of nature, of the forest, trees, animals, natural things. They're called the Old Gods because the Andals, when they invaded Westeros, actually brought the Seven as religion, just like Christianity. The only people currently practicing the religion in Westeros are the Blackfish, the Starks, and the people in the north, and everything beyond the Wall. Osha actually says that the only gods beyond the Wall are the Old Gods. Although technically they don't have any priests, the Old Gods' most obvious physical manifestation on the world of A Song of Ice and Fire are the white weirwood trees, or the heart trees as they're called. They exist in almost all the castles of Westeros, and they exist beyond the Wall en masse. The Children of the Forest also carve faces into them, so they each have these red-looking eyes just because of their bark. The actual closest thing that the Old Gods have to priests are the Greenseers. As of A Song of Ice and Fire, there's only one Greenseer that we know is alive. We haven't met him on the show yet, but Bran is actually traveling to meet him and learn about the Three-Eyed Crow. So the Greenseers do have a few specific powers. They can actually commune with anything in nature that's alive.
I can't do it by choice. You're a warg, Bran. It's in your blood.
That means that they can warg into anything that's alive, anywhere on the earth. It's implied, though, that they mostly associate this power with the weirwood trees, so anywhere that there's a weirwood tree, they can actually see. If you remember, when someone wargs into someone else, it's actually like gaining access to their hard drive of memories, so you can almost see across their entire lifespan in an instant. So effectively, because the weirwood trees are actually some of the oldest living things on Westeros, anywhere there's a weirwood tree, the Greenseers have the ability to travel back in time and see events surrounding that tree, or at least the direction that that face that's carved on it is looking. Time travel high fives. You can also turn the volume back up. Volume flash. So next up is the Seven. They actually supplanted the Old Gods whenever the Andals came to Westeros. You can think of them as being a lot like Christianity because it's technically just one god with many aspects. So the Seven, just like Christianity, came from the East, and the seven aspects actually are the Father, the Mother, the Warrior, the Maiden, the Smith, the Crone, and the Stranger. And because the Stranger actually represents death, Arya ends up crossing paths with him later in the series. I don't want to give too much away because it involves the Faceless Ones and her Vagar Morghulis coin and going to Bravos.
Valar Morghulis.
Valar Morghulis.
So a lot like Christianity, the Seven actually have a Bible called the Seven-Pointed Star. They have a religious order, and one of the really funny things is that the religion actually ends up coming to bite a lot of really mean, evil characters in King's Landing in the ass later in the series. Next up is the Drowned God. He was worshipped in the Iron Islands when the Andals invaded Westeros, and the Andals that actually invaded the Iron Islands, instead of converting them to the Seven, just decided to adopt the local religion, which was the Drowned God. Their followers don't have any specific powers other than their consecration actually involves literally being drowned and brought back to life.
What is dead may never die.
What is dead may never die.
So next up is the many-faced god. It's technically just a meta kind of offshoot of one of the aspects of the Seven. So you see things start to get a little bit meta in a Game of Thrones where religions start to influence each other, just like Lutherans and Christianity and Methodists and all these different offshoots of Christianity. So the many-faced god actually has his own aspects, but he's mostly worshipped by the Faceless Ones, the Order of Assassins that is going to tie in with one of the characters on a Game of Thrones later. So think of the followers of the many-faced god as the assassins like Jaqen H'ghar that we met on season 2. And if you remember when you saw him change his face, I actually believe that a portion of that is just a learned skill, and another portion of that is a supernatural quality granted to them. Jaqen doesn't fully explain it to Arya on the show, but for them, death is actually a gift that they give people. It's not murder done out of revenge. It's actually something that they offer people as a mercy. So this sounds a little weird. There's actually a lot of all these different gods that have all these different faces that share a lot of qualities. So let me know if you think that a lot of them are actually just the same god that's interpreted in different ways. Personally, I think that they actually are separate gods just because a lot of their powers are a little bit separate, but wouldn't it be the most awesome mindfuck if they were all just the same god with just many different faces? Game of Thrones Da Vinci Code. Somebody solve it. High fives. So moving on to the Red God and the Great Other. So George R.R. Martin actually explains that these two gods actually exist in this duality whereby the Red God represents illumination and the Great Other represents death and destruction. Based on what Melisandre has said on the show and what George R.R. Martin has explained in the books, the conflict between Roller and the Great Other will only end when Azor Ahai rises out of the flames with his flaming Lightbringer sword on a stone dragon. If you remember, that tied into Gendry being sacrificed. Supposedly they were trying to raise that stone dragon at the end of season 3.
Big words, no clothes. What would you have done?
Melisandre actually thinks of Stannis as Azor Ahai, and she even calls that sword that he has in season 2 Lightbringer. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's him. A lot of people think that maybe Jon Snow might get resurrected as Azor Ahai or some other character, but let me know what you think. Some of the powers that the priests of the Red God like Thoros and Melisandre have are a measure of resurrection using the gift of life. They also have a measure of vision by looking into flames, but it's subject to their interpretation, so there is a certain margin for error. And I'll explain a really good example of that. Melisandre actually sees something in the flames that she interprets as the champions of the Great Other, but technically, in my opinion, I think she's all just seeing the same person. What she says she sees is a wooden face, corpse white, 1,000 red eyes, and a boy with a wolf's head standing beside him. In reality, I think she's just talking about Bran after he's learned more about his green seer powers. So she's seeing those white faces of the weirwood trees, which actually have red eyes, and think of it, dire wolf standing next to him, wolf's head. So you get the idea. But let me know in the comments if you think that Bran is actually going to become the champion of the Great Other. Personally, I don't think he is, just because nature exists as this really neutral idea. It just exists to serve all living things. So technically, even though the Great Other represents death, you could say that he represents good, but it's really open to interpretation, and let me know what you think. As events on the show unfold, I'll start talking more specifically about each of the gods as they exist in certain episodes or exert influence, like when Melisandre has scenes. But send me your questions about specific things. I'll try to include them in a future video. I'll be doing another Game of Thrones video real soon. So send me suggestions and I'll try to include them. So also, big news, I just hit 5,000 subscribers, so I made a thank you video for all you guys. You can click here, I'll be posting it later today, or you can click here to watch my first Korra Season 2 video. Thanks for watching, high fives for magic.